what about the strategy behind creating a good content? How can we get going with creating good content?
Right. So I wanted to know before answering that question that what is generally people who are not in marketing, how is strategy defined? I mean, the question that you just asked. I just want to know what do you hear from people? How what do they think of strategy?
Pile about strategy, I mean, if you ask me, um, mostly the businesses, when you are dealing with businesses and you ask them what is their expectation from their content, I have seen that mostly, the what they talk about is something very superficial. It is about kind of, the content should have enough research, the content should have fact, the content should have this. Many a times, significance of things like who's your target audience, what age group they fall under, which geographies are you targeting, those are the things that are not spoken about that often. Mostly
Right.
the focus remains on the content, and it is just taken for granted that if you write good content, if you do good research, if it is well written, grammatically it is correct, it is well packaged, the content is good. That is
Absolutely.
a good content, of course, but it's not effective content.
Right.
So, so that is where I think we mostly lack on understanding on how to approach creating effective content.
Right.
So,
Right.
how do you suggest we can go about it?
I think one of the biggest mistakes that people do, and you're absolutely right when you say that a lot of businesses just come and say, hey, listen, we just want great content. It has to be researched, and that's it. Like, there is no strategy behind it. And what I mean by strategy is a little different from I mean, usually I've seen people, strategy is a very heavy, broad term. And I think people think of there are various definitions I hear about a content strategy, but actually it's very simple. You need to figure out when you build a content strategy, good content should always be backed up by strategy, because it's like without a content strategy, it's like throwing darts into and hoping that it hits the goal, right? So
Mm.
I've had so many meetings with businesses where they just say that, hey, listen, we need to come up with a content plan and let's just create content and let's just go. So that's such a wrong approach, because the reason you need to know why you're going to be creating the content. You need to know the goals. So the first part of strategy is figure out what your goal is. So the goal needs to be, it can be like, okay, I want to grow my traffic, or maybe I want more leads, I want maybe
Yeah.
double the growth of this right now. So you first define what are you trying to achieve through content, right? Secondly,
Mm.
and
Mm.
like the more measurable the goal is, the that's much better. Like, don't just have a broad goal that, oh, I want brand awareness. That's a very big, huge goal. So try and have a more concrete goal that, okay, fine, I'm trying to increase my traffic to double at least, or maybe this number by the next 6 months, or maybe the next 1 year. Good content starts with a good strategy. What that means is that you need to have a defining goal from where you start. It can be, I want to
Mm.
increase my traffic double X. Okay. I want to double my traffic. I want to grow my traffic maybe 300 percent more by the next 6 months. Or I need maybe 50 odd leads every month. So you need to know what are you trying to get at. So, of course, then who is your target audience? Who are you going to create that content for? What I mean by this is,
Mm.
where is your target audience sitting in your buyer journey? Are you trying to
Mm.
create content which is really top of the funnel, which is like awareness content? Are you trying to create content for the middle of the funnel, which is more of consideration, where you're trying to figure out where you're trying to give a little bit more than awareness. You're trying to help the buyer
Mm.
decide to go with your brand. He's checked out a couple of brands, he's considering your brand. So are you trying to create there something, or are you coming at the bottom of the funnel where the your brand is already established and you just want to create a very specific kind of content, like comparisons, or maybe the topics are going to be very focused on pushing the user to a deal, a purchase. So these are three. So you need to figure out what kind of content that you want to create, right? For which, where is your target audience, and where is the target audience sitting in your buyer's journey? What format? So typically, you would decide your format based on, again, who's your target audience and where they are sitting in the buyer journey. It could be a long format content or an infographic if you're looking at the top of the funnel for awareness. If you want, you would be creating maybe a video, a case study, a podcast, a white paper in the middle of the funnel, and you would be probably creating, again, a comparison page, a very heavy, a very good landing page to convert the buyer at the bottom of the funnel, right? So you need to know that as well. You need to know who's going to be the team building this whole content, right? And how is the production schedule going to be? Who's going to, who's going to be the editorial system? What are going to be the checks and balances there? And then you need to figure out how will you promote the content once it's published. So how would you reach that content to your target audience? Finally, how would you measure the content? So you have invested this much of money, you've done all of this. How are you tracking your content? So this is basically the strategy, and there's nothing more to it, right? So if you follow these maybe six steps, you have a good strategy in place. Content creation comes as part
Hmm.
of it.
So Payal, how would you say that, like, how can great content influence a business's growth, reputation, and customer engagement? How can great content impact a business's performance?
Right. That's a very valid question. How can content impact your business?
Hmm.
So I think
Hmm.
when your content is good, it helps you do a couple of
Hmm.
things. It will do a couple of things for you. That is, one, it will increase your brand visibility. You're creating, your content for your blog, your website, your multiple other channels. For example, you're doing a podcast, you're doing videos for the YouTube. You are
Hmm.
interacting. The customer is finding you in various different channels, and somewhere the customer is constantly finding you in different places, so there is brand visibility. So the customer is interacting with your brand, knowing your brand more, and finally when you see a brand again and again and again, you sort of know that,
Hmm.
okay, this is a brand to stay, and it is hitting me with with the answer that I really want, right? So brand visibility and awareness is a very big thing, and that in today's world is very big, right? Secondly, one very important thing that content is used for is it builds trust, and it builds the more, I mean, good content creates trust that yes, these guys know their stuff, and I can buy from these guys. So there is that is one of the biggest currencies that you want in today's world, because um, there's so much competition, and the user is wanting to decide who to buy from, where do I get the right service or the right product. So the more options, the more you can show your customer that, hey, listen, I am the expert here and I will service you better. Like, there's a kind of a trust that we get from certain brands. So that is the play of content.